These are the stories topping the news. Prime Minister addresses death of teenager, visas to be waived to South Americans, and 5 kids found dead in Alabama, father detained. Good afternoon and welcome to ZIZ Midday newscast for Wednesday, 10th September 2014. I'm Kyla Berridge. Now for a look at the news in detail. Prime Minister the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas has joined the Federation in mourning the loss of 15-year-old Shanti Claxton, who was found dead on Saturday. The Prime Minister, in an address to the nation, publicly extended condolences to the family of the Jessup's teenager. Prime Minister Douglas also took the opportunity to urge persons with information to assist in the investigation to ensure justice for Shanti.
I once again extend to the family of Shanti Claxton my heartfelt condolences at the sudden and tragic loss of their young daughter. These sentiments, of course, have already been shared privately and directly. But I now call upon every single person who might have the slightest bit of information or insight as to what might have happened, no matter where you may reside in our Federation, to invest yourself fully and completely in the effort to identify, apprehend, and capture the person or persons who committed this unspeakable act.
Dr. Douglas said this crime has not only affected the family, but the nation as a whole, and as such, the people of the Federation must come together.
It is not only Shanti and her family who have been harmed. The entire nation has been harmed by this horrific act, and we must not rest until the perpetrator or perpetrators is no longer walking among us. We cannot go about our lives as we normally do. Not even for one moment can we afford to let what happened to Shanti Claxton out of our minds. This is the moment when we must, from St. Paul's to Gingerland, think and feel and act as one. Our humanity as a people demands it.
15-year-old Shanti Claxton was found dead on Saturday at the St. Thomas's Primary School. Although St. Kitts Nevis is not in any immediate threat of its residents contracting the deadly Ebola virus, the Ministry of Health is doing all in its power to ensure that the ports of entry are safe. On Wednesday, the Federation's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Patrick Martin, told ZIZ News that Ebola screenings are ongoing at the nation's 2 airports.
Screening is taking place upon exit from Ebola-affected countries.
Okay.
And throughout the Caribbean and in St. Kitts Nevis, screening is taking place upon entry. Here in St. Kitts and Nevis, both at RLB and Vance Armory International, through coordination with immigration, we know in advance who is coming from where.
Is it?
You'll be asked which country you're coming from, just to verify.
Okay.
And are you having any symptoms? Were you in contact with anyone or animal that you know to be infected with Ebola? And by the way, tell us where you're going to be.
The senior medical official also offered tips on how residents of St. Kitts Nevis can minimize their chances of contracting the Ebola virus.
Reasonable people have to act reasonably wherever they go.
Yes.
And you must know, or you ought to know, what is happening in your destination. The same way in which the governments of Canada, United States, UK put out travel advisories in relation to chikungunya in the Caribbean for their citizens, which is a good thing.
Yes.
All right. So we put out travel advisories from time to time.
Okay.
All right. So if you're traveling into an Ebola-affected area, be on your P's and Q's, and knowing that it is transmitted by direct contact. If you are in contact, if you are in the proximity of an Ebola-affected patient, don't handle them.
The Ebola virus disease, according to the World Health Organization, is a severe, often fatal illness in humans. The virus is transmitted to people from wild animals and spreads in the human population through human-to-human transmission. The Minister's Press Secretary, Erasmus Williams, announced on Wednesday that the 25 most remarkable teens for 2013 in the Twin Island Federation will be highlighted by the Communications Unit in the Office of the Prime Minister during September. Celebrating 31 years of independence is another golden opportunity to focus on some of our successes, and the positive achievements of our youth are cause to celebrate, Williams said, adding that 2 of the teams will be individually showcased daily during September. The 25 most remarkable teens were presented with awards at a special sitting of the St. Kitts and Nevis National Assembly, which unfortunately was boycotted by the members of the opposition on November 27th. The gesture was inaugurated by Minister of Youth Empowerment, Sports, Information Technology, Telecommunications and Post, the Honorable Glenn Phillip, Parliamentary Representative for St. Christopher No. 4. And now in regional news. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister, Gaston Brown, has said that the majority of South Americans will soon not need visas to travel to Antigua and Barbuda. It follows a recent decision to waive visas for Chinese nationals. Brown said the aim is to make the country more attractive as a tourist destination and open the nation to fresh markets. He also stated that a long list of countries were precluded from traveling to Antigua and Barbuda without a visa, and that he made the decision to eliminate practically all of South America from the list, as well as China. On Tuesday, the Antigua-based regional airline Liat announced the launch of its inaugural service to the French-speaking CARICOM country, Haiti, as part of a major initiative to restructure its commercial activities and improve the performance of the cash-strapped airline. Liat said effective December 5th, this year it will launch services to Port-au-Prince every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and that the new route will meet customer demands and provide connections for customers to travel within the Caribbean to and from the growing market. Venezuela's health system is at risk as private and public hospitals face one of the worst crises in years. There is an acute shortage of everything from basic medical supplies to medications for more complicated illnesses, and hospitals are struggling to serve their patients. Al Jazeera's Harris Wetback reports from Caracas, Venezuela.
Isaura Rivero was diagnosed with rectal cancer a year ago. Things did not look good. Only very aggressive treatment would improve her chances of a cure. But consistent medical care is something most of the patients in Venezuela's health system can only dream about. Isaura struggled to find the medicine she needed for her chemotherapy.
Even though we have first-rate doctors, the system doesn't work because there are simply no medications to work with.
The country is facing its worst medicine shortage in its history because there is no hard currency available to pay for the medicines it normally imports. Doctors in private and public clinics across the country are forced to make difficult decisions regarding patient care every day.
Practically all of our nuclear medicine service is paralyzed because we cannot access spare parts for the equipment, nor the reactive agents for the treatments.
Some private clinics have resorted to stockpiling basic supplies such as anesthetics. Elective procedures are practically non-existent, and some patients are even forced to share basic supplies such as disposable oxygen masks. The country's health minister told medicine importers it was a priority to get the drug stocks back up.
If they don't have contagious diseases, patients will share respirators 1, maybe 2 times. We sterilize the masks so they can be reused.
But many patients and their families have been forced to take matters into their own hands. Some import medicine privately. Others spend their days scouring pharmacies looking for what they need.
Isaura Rivero started a group called Impatient Cancer Patients. They pooled their resources to obtain medicine, even paying for a ventilation system at one of the cancer clinics in the city. She had to learn to fight the system before beginning the fight to regain her health. Harris Whitbeck, Al Jazeera, Caracas, Venezuela.
Internationally, A man is suspected of killing his 5 children in South Carolina and dumping their bodies wrapped in individual garbage bags in Alabama, authorities said on Tuesday. Timothy Jones was taken into custody in Mississippi and has been charged with child neglect. There are also other pending charges. We hear more in this report.
An investigation involving authorities in at least 3 states is underway after the bodies of 5 children were found wrapped in garbage bags in central Alabama.
Anytime you see death, especially children, it's going to be hard, even for the most seasoned law enforcement officer. Nobody should see that.
Investigators suspect 32-year-old Timothy Jones from Lexington County, South Carolina, killed his children in South Carolina before driving with the bodies and dumping them in Alabama. Authorities say he was taken into custody in Mississippi on Saturday after a traffic stop when police noticed a smell in his car.
It was more of a smell of dried blood possibly and some body fluids mixed with some chemicals. That's what it appeared to be at that time.
Authorities say Jones led them to the bodies in Alabama. Investigators in Alabama are searching that scene along a rural dirt road.
They're seeing the worst thing you can probably imagine, but they're trained and they're focused on their job.
Jones is being held in Mississippi and awaiting extradition to South Carolina. He was already wanted there on child neglect charges. His children range from 1 to 8 years old. Their mother, who is divorced from Jones, reported them missing on September 3rd. A neighbor says he once reported the family to social services.
Their kids were always walking around filthy. I think they wore the same clothes. Winter came, they didn't even have coats on, running around in shorts and all. Little boy always had diapers hanging down to the ground.
Authorities in Mississippi and South Carolina say they expect to file additional charges against Jones. Sandy Kozel, The Associated Press.
Audio recordings have emerged of a South Sudanese rebel commander threatening to shoot down a United Nations aircraft. The chilling warning came days before United Nations helicopter was shot down in Unity State, killing 3 crewmen. Al Jazeera's Anna Cavell reports.
We tell you tomorrow, we fire it all at the airplane coming. No, sir, please don't do that because you're the miss. All our planes. No. Why you use your airplane and SPLA come together today? 2 cargo in SPLA.
That was Rebel Commander Peter Gadet accusing the UN of using its aircraft to support his enemy, the Army of South Sudan, an accusation the UN denies. Shortly after this intercept was recorded, a UN helicopter was shot down over the area controlled by Gadet's forces, killing 3 of the Russian crew on board. The UN base near to the crash site is home to tens of thousands of people who've taken refuge there from fighting nearby. UN helicopters fly in several times a day, mainly bringing cargo in support of its humanitarian and peacekeeping operations. A spokesman stressed that the investigation is still continuing.
We would hope that the opposition leadership, if indeed it is shown that their forces on the ground were responsible for this unprovoked attack, would hold their own elements responsible and mete out a suitable punishment.
In April, hundreds of people were killed in the South Sudanese town of Bentiu, including many who were sheltering in a mosque. Peter Gadet, the rebel leader heard threatening the UN in that recording, is widely believed to have been responsible. He's been sanctioned by the US and EU as a result, but the sanctions seem to have had little impact on his tactics in the months since. Anna Cavell, Al Jazeera.
Now the weather. Today will be pleasantly sunny with winds blowing from the east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Temperatures will reach a high of 31 degrees and a low of 25 degrees. This evening we will see clear skies with winds blowing from the east. Tomorrow is expected to be sunny with chances of stray showers later in the afternoon. That's it for ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us at 6:30 and 7 p.m. for the evening news. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kyla Barrett.